What happens when a legacy is built on a lie? When a daughter's quest to restore her family's honor becomes so twisted that it demands the complete and total sacrifice of her own humanity. Today we're forging into the history of one of Wolverine's most personal and deadly foes, a woman who chose to become a monster to avenge a ghost. Welcome back to Marvel Echoes Resonance. I'm your host, Will, and today we're talking about the one and only Lady Deathstrike. Now, if you've only known her from the movies like X2, you probably see her as this silent, deadly assassin with, long, crazy fingernails. And you're not wrong, but the story of Yuriko Oyama is much deeper, so much more tragic than just a simple henchwoman. Her story isn't about gaining power, it's about what she gave up to get them. Believe it or not, when we first meet Yuriko in the pages of Daredevil back in 1983, she's not a villain. She's actually a hero. Her father is a brilliant but monstrous scientist, Lord Darkwind. This guy was a disgraced kamikaze pilot from World War II, and he became obsessed with two things: restoring his honor and the indestructible metal Adamantium. He's the man who actually perfected the process of, bonding it to bone. Yuriko sees her father for the fanatic he is and is desperately trying to save her lover, a man named Kira, from his clutches. In a moment of absolute conviction, she kills her own father to end his madness. But this is where the tragedy really begins. Kira, bound by his own twisted code of loyalty to his master, can't live with this. He commits ritual suicide, and in that moment, something inside Yuriko just shatters. The legacy she fought so hard to destroy becomes the only thing she now has left. She becomes consumed by this corrupted sense of duty. She discovers that the research for the adamantium bonding process was stolen from her father years ago by the Weapon X program. And who's the most famous subject of that program? Well, Logan, aka Wolverine. In her grief-stricken mind, Wolverine isn't a fellow victim of the horrible experiment. He's a thief. He is living proof of her family's stolen honor. So she adopts the persona of Lady Deathstrike. She dons a samurai-inspired armor and goes after Logan for the first time in an old Alpha Flight comic. And she gets pretty wrecked. It's not even close. It's here that Yuriko has her dark epiphany. Mortal flesh is not enough. Her desire for vengeance is stronger than her desire to remain human. This leads her to one of the most terrifying places in the Marvel Universe: the Body Shop. It's an extra-dimensional chop shop run by the six-armed sorceress and an agent of chaos, Spiral. You can think of Spiral as this kind of mad scientist who uses living flesh as her canvas. In Uncanny X-Men issue number 205, an absolute landmark issue by Chris Claremont and Barry Windsor Smith, Yuriko willingly submits herself to this process. Spiral strips away her humanity and rebuilds her from the ground up. And, most famously, extends her fingers into 12-inch retractable adamantium claws. She sacrifices her body to become the living embodiment of her father's vengeful will. She is no longer just a woman seeking revenge. She is revenge. This new cybernetic Deathstrike quickly realizes she can't do it all alone. She joins forces with a group of like-minded individuals, the Reavers, who we'll definitely have to cover later. These guys are a gang of cyborg criminals, most of whom were carved up by Wolverine at some point in the past and then put back together by Donald Pierce, who was the former White King of the Hellfire Club. They all share a deep, burning hatred for Logan and the X-Men, which makes them perfect allies for Yuriko. And together, they commit one of the most brutal acts in X-Men history. In Uncanny X-Men number 251, they ambush Wolverine in the Australian outback. They don't just beat him, they torture him. They nail him to a giant wooden X, a profane mockery of everything he stands for, and they leave him to die. For Lady Deathstrike, this is the ultimate desecration. She watches her nemesis utterly broken and humiliated. It's a moment that leaves a permanent psychological scar on Logan and cements the Reavers, with Deathstrike at the forefront, as one of the most sadistic villains in the Marvel Universe. So, with that foundation of pure obsessive vengeance laid, let's fast forward to see how Lady Deathstrike's story has echoed through the modern era, because a character this persistent doesn't just fade away. For years, her story was a brutal repeating cycle. She'd get up and upgrade, hunt Wolverine, get defeated, retreat, rebuild, wash, rinse, repeat. But a fascinating wrinkle happened during the Fatal Attraction storyline in the 90s. This is when Magneto famously ripped all the adamantium out of Wolverine's body. It's one of the most iconic moments in comic history. Deathstrike finally has Logan right where she wants him, beaten, broken, defenseless. And she lets him go. She refuses to kill him, stating that a victory without honor is meaningless. It's a stunning moment that shows us that somewhere buried deep beneath all that chrome and wiring, there's still a fragment of Yuriko's original code of conduct. Her war isn't just about killing him, it's about defeating him. As we move into the 2000s and beyond, her role begins to shift. She becomes a more established part of the wider Marvel villain community. She's hired by Sabretooth. She joins a new incarnation of the Sisterhood of Mutants alongside powerful figures like Madeline Pryor, and she even has her consciousness temporarily uploaded into the body of a new host. It speaks to her core concept. The body is disposable, but the vendetta is eternal. So where does that leave her today? In the From the Ashes era, following the fall of mutant nation of Krakoa, well, the Krakoan age was complicated for villains like Deathstrike. For a time, all mutants were offered amnesty in the Living Island, forcing enemies to become uneasy neighbors. Yuriko was seen on Krakoa, but never truly integrated. She's a hunter, not a nation builder. With the dream of Krakoa shattered, she's back to her old ways, a free agent, a mercenary, and a predator. She is, in essence, back to basics. The complex politics are gone, and what remains is her core programming. Find the loose ends of her father's legacy. Hunt those connected to Weapon X, and prove her superiority. She's a ghost in the machine, constantly searching for a war to fight because without her vengeance, what is she? So I'll leave you with this question. After everything's done to herself and the others, is there a piece of Yuriko left inside Lady Deathstrike? Or is she truly just a machine executing a dead man's will? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for listening to this episode of Marvel Echoes. If you enjoyed the deep dive, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of our future episodes. Leaving it a like and a comment really help the channel grow. And for more content, including articles, infographics, and everything we discussed today, make sure you visit the website in the links below. Till next time, true believers, make mine Marvel.